Mexico, where stories live. They say a journey begins with a spark, a moment that draws you in and just won't let go. For me, that moment was Mexico. From the very first step into its sun-soaked streets, I knew this wasn't going to be just another destination, but something so good. It would etch itself into the depths of my very soul. That's the thing about Mexico, and it's burst with colors, rhythms, and warm embrace. From the fiery spices of a street-side taco to the laughter of children chasing one another around the plaza, it's a country that resides in the detail. But it isn't the history or the landscape alone that makes Mexico unforgettable. It is the people, their generosity, their resilience, and their passion for life. And if you're anything like me, your first connection to Mexico will likely start with its food, because here, every bite is a story and every meal is a celebration. Because in Mexico now, food is not something you eat, it's something you feel. The first proper taco was not served to me in any restaurant, but in a busy street corner in Mexico City. The taquery was working with practiced precision, cutting slices of al pastor meat from a rotating spit. The smell mingling with that of a sizzling onions. Food here comes with a ring of religiosity. Mexican food tells stories. Take more. Of course, it's not just a sauce or an ensemble of ingredients. The formula changes from region to region. In Oaxaca, I watched as a granny prepared mole negro. Her hands moved with the confidence of one that has done this 1,000 times. She told me how every spice and every seed means something, every seed something which unites and upholds tradition. Then there is the vibrancy of a mercado. Think of rows of colorful produce, fresh tortillas being pressed by hand, and vendors calling out their daily special. It's not just the market, it's a celebration of life. Not even the humblest dishes like tamales or pozole carry on their full centuries of history and the Indian cultures that formed Mexican identity. And as for the drinks as well, from sipping smoky mezcal in a tiny cantina to cooling off with the horchata out of a glass, every sip seems to evoke the landscape and its people. Mexican food is all about memory, community, and love rather than just taste. Every meal here is an occasion for getting together, every bite a bridge to the past. Little wonder it is that for most travelers, including me, any trip to Mexico begins on a plate. Traditions are not only something one gets used to seeing, but they are also part of daily life, carried on in every breath through the cities. Consider the Day of the Dead. I happened to be in Oaxaca during this overwhelming feast when relatives come together to honor their dead. The air was thick with fumes of marigold and incense. Streets were lined with colorful decoration, altars lit with personal homage photographs of the dead, candles flickering soft and all offering sheets of favorite foods. It seemed that the past and the present were whistling together in a dance where death wasn't an end but part of the story. It's such a massive statement that family and memory are sacred in Mexico. This ritual, centuries old, turns sorrow into the celebrations of life, reminding one and all of the beauty of homage paid to our roots. And then there are the piñatas. To anyone who didn't grow up with them, they're ghastly colored paper mache monsters. There's a story behind them runs far deeper. First used in indigenous ceremonies, piñatas represent the struggle between good and evil. Today they're a joyful part of birthdays and celebrations, but to break them open remains in a powerful metaphor for getting through and triumphing. From the captivating food and traditions of Mexico, the art and architecture will have you frozen in wonder. Every little thing is so beautiful, no matter where you turn. I visited San Miguel de Allende, which is a very colorful place. Each building spoke to a different story. Colonial architecture with its thrilling pastel color shades and ironwork, creating a feeling of timelessness. What really amazed me was how the town felt like one big canvas, each wall an exquisite mural, handicraft representing the heartbeat of the people living in it. Not only the towns, but also the people breathe life into the art of Mexico. In the center of Mexico City, I passed through the Frida Kahlo Museum, feeling her energy in each and every room as if she was right there with me. One can't help but feel her work. face raw and unblinking, portraits of personal pain, of fierce love, of all things relating to Mexican culture. Just like the spirit of Mexico itself, the spirit of her art is resilient, dynamic and real. Then of course there is the music. It is part of every inch of Mexico, throbbing in the air like a pulsing heartbeat. Mariachi is the heart of Mexico, though not only the sound, the beat, the batida of the native jarana of this part of the world, around Veracruz, fills the air with a rhythm to get up and dance to. Here music is not heard, but it is felt beyond your imagination. It moves within the bones. It is a party, an invitation to be one and live by movement and sound. But Mexico is not only a feast for the senses in its food, traditions, art and music. It's also a country of naturals that are almost outwardly. One of the first things I learned about Mexico is that its landscape are as varied as its culture. On the Yucatán Peninsula, I stood at the edge of a cenote, one of those crystalline underground sinkholes that seem to pulse with ancient energy. The water, cool and inviting, felt like a portal to a hidden world, one in which itself seemed to decelerate. There floating, I knew this was a sacred place, a natural wonder which for centuries had been considered hallowed by the Mayans. Then of course there was a copper canyon, a series of canyons situated in the state of Chihuahua. While it's the US through the canyon, swaying on cliffs and over bridges, was really something shifting landscapes that left me raw, the race and the color and the pure scale. That also reminds me that the world is full of wonders that wait to be explored. And then of course there are the festivals. Mexico knows how to celebrate. It lives celebration. The Gualaquets in Oaxaca, where the state's many indigenous cultures are celebrated by the state, was one of the most memorable events in my life. Music, dance, color overall. The streets were pulsating with these sights and sounds, yet vibrating with warmth from community after community, coming together and taking part in one another's traditions and rituals. Dances, elaborately attired, spiraled and moved to the beat of drums while telling stories about their ancestors and the land they call home. Then follows the pomp and glory of Mexico's Independence Day, especially when it all began, the beginning of the revolution. That night, on the 15th of September, the town square was electric and beaming with people. Night lights filled the sky with fireworks, giving way to a powerful moment, the meeting of the past with the present. And with sacrifice, pride in being Mexican. Festivals in Mexico are not merely events but a way of life. Time of unity and joy, times to connect when everyone comes together to share their culture, their heritage and each other. Mexico is not a place to be visited, but a place to be lived and experienced. Whether it's the rhythm of the music, the history in the streets, or the warmth of the people, something definitely stays with you long after you've gone. This is a country that doesn't just survive in memory, but in the heart. And so, if you ever plan a trip, let it be Mexico. Take it from me, once you step inside, Mexico will never let you leave just as the same way as you came in, just one part of the real magic.